Well, hello there, Big Bear StarCraft, the lovable, huggable, but if you are a man untouchable, amazing commentator, bringing you actually his fifth StarCraft 2 game. It is weird to actually think that I have already casted 5 StarCraft 2 games in the span of 3 days, but I am here casting my fifth game, and it is with one of my favorite players, Liquid Huck, spawning in the top right position, and charming. Maybe, possibly my first favorite player. I have never heard of this guy, never seen him play. It could be a Smurf account, I'm not entirely sure. All I know is that if he is playing Huck, he has to be at least Grandmaster level, considering that Huck is actually sitting inside of a small, little, tiny Korean house just playing all day, meaning that he is top 50 on the Korean Grandmaster ladder, which is no small feat because being on the Korean Grandmaster ladder is like being Michael Jordan in the NBA. It is extremely hard to do. It would be like the equivalent of saying, oh, well, I am in Grandmaster in North America. That's like saying, well, great, if you played on the Korean ladder, you'd be in bronze. That is actually sarcasm, so don't actually take offense if you are one of those players who is on the North American server, and I don't want to get any BM, but everyone knows that the Korean server is in fact the most competitive server there is. You can see that Charming is actually opening up with Pool first, which I like because Huck would have definitely denied this. Huck is really good with his probe micro, just, and you know, when he's asked why do you do so much with this first probe, you know, why do you even try with him, and he just says simply because he says, well, I get so bored. And you can see actually opening up with a 16 pylon nexus. That is extremely unorthodox. He will probably be getting either a gateway or a forge. I'm guessing gateway, but I'm not sure. This is, yeah, there's the forge. Okay, so I guess I was wrong. That is why I do not play Protoss, and you can see that this is what I'm talking about. Look at this pylon, look at this probe. Look how annoying it is. He's going to try to throw down the hatch. It's not going to work. This little pylon, or this little probe is going to throw in a pylon, probably delayed even more. This is those little things that Huck does, and look how long it's actually being delayed for. I mean, this is ridiculous. He's going to probably end up getting his hatch down on 21, which is usually the more standard time, because of the simple fact that this probe does in fact delay it for so long. But you can see he would have laid it down there. He could have gotten it down. He gets it down now on 21, which is standard time for his Zerg to get it down now because of the fact that Protoss can deny expansion for such a long time. And you can see that Huck has actually favored to wall off his ramp down here, which is a really smart choice, especially if you're opening up for a Nexus first style of build. And you can see Charming is actually deciding to throw down a Roach Warren, which means that he will be going for an extremely early Roach pressure. I don't know, maybe he feels behind, maybe he wants to spank Huck for choosing to go macro first. And you can see the little things is what Huck does that makes him so good. Puts his probe on hold position at the ramp here until the Zealot gets out, so that way no Zerglings can run by, and this cannon will actually still deter any sort of Zergling push. And Charming is a little bit behind. You can see 25 probes to 17. That's really not a good spot. You never want to be behind in worker count if you are Zerg. In fact, you never want to even be behind bases or at the same amount of bases. And right now, Charming is behind bases to Hot. So he has 3 choices, and it looks like he does in fact pick the Roach all-in. I mean, it's pretty all-in. If you don't do damage with this, you lose, because your Protoss counterpart is going to have insanely higher economy, and you can see 32 probes to 17 drones. If Huck does scout this out a little bit earlier, it will spell defeat for Charming, because all you need is maybe 1 or 2 more cannons, and you completely destroy this push, because you can see right now he's actually just macroing like a boss, getting as many probes he can. He's probably, I'm guessing, nope, actually deciding to throw it on, in fact, the gateway for a sentry. And here it comes. This is actually going to do a lot of damage. All he has is a single zealot and a single cannon. This is where Huck kind of goes into panic mode here, starts pulling a lot of probes, starts building a lot of cannons. You can see 2 cannons already going down. And here's where sentries are so good. If he gets his pylon, I think he'll oh no, a second pylon here. What great placement by Huck, and you can see that these force fields are so good. But if he can get this cybernetics score, you can actually force the cancel on this warp gate technology, and that would be a really big deal, because then Huck is delayed the time it takes to build a cybernetics core plus the time it takes to research warp gate technology, and warp gates are really the strong point of any sort of Protoss play. And you can see pulling a lot of probes. It looks like, wow, and there was the even out. It's 14 probes, 17 drones. The Zerg is now at a healthy lead. The push was held off with more Zerglings streaming in, more roaches, and 2 or 3 chrono boosts will really just kind of even out the drone and probe count, even if Charming just drones up really hard. And I think Huck is going to be a little bit scared here to push out. He only has 4 sentries, but with 4 sentries he'll be able to completely lock down any sort of units, and just to prove me wrong, he kind of pushes down his ramp as if to say, really, me scared? I am Huck. I am unbeatable. And which is kind of true. I mean, his force field placement is probably some of the best force field placements I've ever seen, except for OGSMC. OGSMC has some sick force field placement. If he's going to trap him here, goodbye, and just throws down a single force field, effectively cuts this off, and these sentries really are just going to play lockdown for the rest of the game. What's actually funny is I thought I was doing for a second, and I double hit 5 to go back and hit the inject larva. And I knew that because I saw the inject larva before, and actually Charming a little bit behind on his macro. He's letting it slip. He should just throw in a creep tumor here, probably with this queen in the main base to make it look like he's been macroing harder. But who am I to say? Maybe it is some master plan for some clutch transfuse later in the game. Who really knows with these players nowadays who have some of the most insane builds, some of the most insane timings. For example, I was just watching Huck stream a couple of minutes ago, and I saw him just for 3 games in a row, for 3 games, he just went 4 gate into warp gate tech into DTs and just put pressure on the Zerg player, did a decent amount of pressure, and then expanded. And just expanded behind it and just probed up. I guess probed up. That sounds really weird to say. Probed up. I probed up. Droned up sounds way better. Anyhow, so he would just build a whole bunch of workers. There we go. It sounds a lot less gay. He build a whole bunch of workers and really just kind of let his macro do the talking after those DTs did their early game harass. And I mean, it's just those little builds that keep changing, and I think people saw Inca try to do that at the GSLs, but obviously Nesty had his number on that build, and Inca really didn't have anything to transition into it. I don't really know why. I mean, I feel kind of bad because Inca just got crushed. If you didn't see the GSLs, you should go see it. Anyone who's complaining about Zergs being underpowered really needs to see those GSLs and just see Nesty womp Inca. And I mean, when I say womp, I don't mean, you know, a classic, oh, you know, it was a 4-0 play, but it was just really close every game. No, Nesty owned every single game against Inca. He destroyed Inca. And I mean, it's nothing to take away from Inca. Inca's an amazing player. But Nesty just had his number on that build and countered it, and Inca refused to change his build. I think he's literally practiced a single build and was content with that build, and when a opposing player knows exactly how to counter that, you're really kind of stuck. And I think Huck was really the person who actually invented that build. I'm not entirely sure. Please leave in the comments. I'm not trying to take it away from anyone else if that was actually the person who invented that build of the 3 or 4 gate into expand into DT build. It's really solid though, and I will hate to be seeing it on the ladder whenever I do play Zerg, because it is just so effective. You can see, look at this, Huck just goes out for the blood. You know, this one Zergling is like, please guys, I have kids and I have a family, and these stalkers are saying, I am sorry, it is my job to kill you, and they do actually take it out. You can see Huck is going to be testing the front, but Charming actually smartly enough putting down 3 spine crawlers, steadily getting a lead. If we go to the unit counting station, we can see 59 drones to 54 probes, so it's not too far behind, but with almost 60 probes, that's really oversaturation for 2 bases. He really should be looking to get a 3rd soon. And you can see Charming actually already done with his 3rd, so he's going to be slowly getting ahead here, especially with a healthy drone count, especially if he drones up some more. You can see instead deciding to get 11 roaches. This Baneling Roach play is something really interesting that I have actually seen StarCraft use just now recently. I'm sure he was not the one who invented it, but it is really effective because Banelings actually, 8 Banelings, I think it is, kills a group of Zealots, and Zealots just naturally kind of cluster together, so they'll cluster like right here, for example, and 8 Banelings will just kill all of those Zealots, and, I mean, Stalkers, they get peeled away. They have 160 HP. A Baneling does what? Versus Light, which I think a Stalker is actually considered a light unit. No, it's an armored unit, so they do 25 damage versus armored, so it takes what? 160 divided by 20.